Well, the Mounties say they have their man and woman in an alleged plot to blow up the BC legislature, and the RCMP have arrested a Surrey couple in what they say is an al-Qaeda-inspired plan of terror. Our next guest says there may be more to the story. Joining us is our own Ezra Levant, host of The Source. Ezra, great to see you.
Good to see you, too.
More to this story than al-Qaeda, you mean?
Well, here's the thing. You have two people who, based on press reports, seem to have had troubles. I mean, drugs, not fitting in well, and
criminal record.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, these were people who were on the margins of society, and they both embraced a new way with great vigor. They both converted to Islam, and the woman accused started wearing a niqab. That's the full ninja, and we understand from a neighbor that they started screaming about jihad and they started acting erratically, and the trouble is when two people who are troubled like that and who've had problems like that embrace a new ideology with great zeal, maybe thinking it will reform their lives and put them on a holy path, they're susceptible to being directed in a criminal way, because there are passages in the Quran, just as there are passages in the Old Testament or even the New Testament, that if you take them literally could turn bloody. I mean, Jesus said, "I am the hammer." We have, in the book of Leviticus, we talk about, stoning people. But the thing is, if you go to any church, they're not going to say, "Yes, we really mean take the stone and stone them." But unfortunately, in some Wahhabi-inspired mosques, even here in Canada, there is an undercurrent of fundamentalist extremism that says, yes, the exact wording in the Quran, we want you to actually slay people. Last point, the Vancouver Sun reports that the two accused did go to a local mosque, did listen to radicalized tapes. That's the problem.
Yeah. Never mind, not only the local mosque, the internet is rife with this stuff.
Well, that's the thing, and you can't stop the internet. That's like trying to plug a dike with your finger. You could never censor it. So what we have to do is make sure that in our mosques that we do not have the extremist message that is often pumped out by Saudi Arabia. This is a challenge for Islam as much as us. For us, it's a security challenge. But for Islam, it's the challenge of reforming the faith. I mean, there was a time centuries ago where Christianity was a violent faith. The Inquisition. There was a time thousands of years ago where Judaism presumably was a theocracy before the fall of the temple. Both of those religions have had their reformation. But if you look at the most popular imams in Islam, not just in the Middle East, but in London, UK, and some of them in this country, they still hold to the literalist word of the Quran. Let me quote to you just one passage, for example, from the Quran. Now, you would find things not quite this tough in the Bible, but what you wouldn't find at your local Anglican church or United Church is someone saying, yes, we truly mean we must stone someone for being an adulterer. You wouldn't see that. But I'm just going to quote you, this is Surat al-Baqarah, the cow. That's a passage, chapter 2, verse 191 of the Quran. And you can imagine if someone's zealous and maybe not that bright and maybe agitated, if they're reading this literally and getting stuff on the internet from Al-Qaeda, they might actually live this out. This is a passage, and you can understand that this is interpreted ferociously. It could lead someone to become a terrorist. And kill them wherever you overtake them, and expel them wherever they expelled you. And fitna, which means disagreement, is worse than killing. And do not fight them at a certain mosque, al-Masjid al-Haram, until they fight you there. But if they fight you, then kill them. Such is the recompense of the disbelievers. That is a pretty brutal passage. Now, I say again, there are
very proactive, too.
Well, yeah, and I acknowledge that our holy books, the Jewish or the Christian Testaments, they have some bloody language in them too. They also have a message of reconciliation and love, I think, more than the Quran. But if you are a troubled soul who's had a criminal past, who maybe has drug use and rough margins of life, if you convert to Islam and sort of self-style it, and maybe get crazy stuff on the internet, and you found a local mosque that's whipping you up, you are susceptible to taking this and saying, yeah, I'm going to do it. Let me throw in one more wrinkle. Let's say you've got a psychological problem. You've always been marginalized. You've always been called a loser your whole life. Well, if you go into blaze of glory, you're going to be super famous. Like Jakar Tsarnaev in Boston. Bit of a loser, bit of a nobody. Now he's an internet hero. I mean, it's the same mentality that a lot of serial killers. Oh, I've been trod on my whole life. I'll show you who's smart. I'm going to go down in history. So this, I think, was a lone wolf whipped up by a mosque and tapes and the internet. But until Islam reforms itself and says, yeah, let's not take this so literally, we will continue to have these problems.
So Islam, you're suggesting, has to be self-policing, really?
Well, just like Christianity had a violent and lengthy Reformation, and Christianity today is not the same as it was even 500 years ago. The Spanish Inquisition, 1492, or before that, and the thing is, this is where the locus of the fight in Islam is actually within Islam. It's not, of course, it's between Islam and the West, but where are the most people killed in Islamic terrorism? Muslim countries.
Yeah.
Look at the great roiling debates in Egypt. It's between two different interpretations of Islam. In Turkey, two different interpretations. More Muslims are killed by Muslim terrorism in Bali, Indonesia, than in the West. This is why we've got to strengthen Muslim moderates and liberals and help them save their faith from the literalists.
Great message, Ezra.
Thanks, Pat.
We'll see more of that tonight
A
on The
little bit,
Source.
yeah.
Good. I'll be sure.